Are we playing our song?
Come on the show. Yeah. I like the music, ladies. How are you doing?
Yeah, music is beautiful.
It is
I'm really
well,
good.
it is
Thank
well,
you.
it is well.
We're echoing, but anyway, welcome to the show. My name is Temi Ajayi, and I've got Liz Greatness with us here as usual, and Heidi Suleiman. Heidi, how are you? Am I calling the name? Oh, look at that. Hello, our Royal Highness. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you very much. It's been a short week. I can't believe it's Saturday already.
I know.
Wasn't it yesterday we had the show?
Liz is always not believing whatever we're doing. It's like,
Time is just moving too fast for me these days.
but it's true. This is June, mid-year.
You shouldn't say this is June. You should say this is end of June.
That's true
That's
too.
true. That is
End
true.
end of June. Hi, King Okoro.
Hello.
How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Let's get back to the seriousness of the show, as a matter of fact. And we're just having a chat as we do a tete-a-tete. Liz is saying it's end of June. And I like the way you're very precise. It is end of, so we're basically going to July.
That's right. Can't
And
believe it.
I know, but it's true. It's true. Heidi, how are you?
I'm really good, Temi. And yes, I have experienced the weeks to be very short myself. And, days are just going past by. And look, I'm getting a lot done, which is great. But it's still, I think that actually days feel like they're shorter than usual for some reason. I'm not sure why, but they do feel like that. Maybe because it's going dark really soon, like, at 5 o'clock, it's already getting dark.
Yeah.
And, it's really cold and I don't know what Temi's wearing. I'm looking at that. I'm feeling there is something wrong there, or she's got the furnace next door.
No, I've got no furnace actually. My husband was like, just then he's like, we have to do something. I'm like, you've been in this country for so many years, but he says, I don't know how long I can take this. So, honey, we probably need to start considering Queensland. There you go.
I'm going.
Yeah,
If you go, I'm going.
I'm like smart man, but I generally like cold weather because with cold you can manage. I've got a coat here, even though I'm not wearing it. But when it's cold, you can coat it up and dress. But when it's hot, then there's nothing to be done. AC doesn't work, and you can't strip yourself. Being a godly woman, you gotta do that. So I'm like, what do we do? So I would rather have it cold. And
That's super right.
plus, ladies, you have to remember I've got extra stuff on. I'm insulated as it is. Look at that. They call fat. Keeps you warm.
Oh,
It's got its usefulness. But it's been fantastic, and I'm glad, Heidi, you said you were getting a lot done, and I know Liz is getting things done, and I'm getting things done. So this is our new normal, in fairness. So we try
yeah.
to find a way to live with what we've got.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Half year, mid year, we're starting to get things done. Hallelujah.
That's just what it is. You don't get it any better than what it is right now.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So I'm really excited to be on the show today because as we do, we always get some amazing people to come on the show. And I can't wait for for today's meeting. But I've got things. I heard something today that I was going to share with you, ladies. In Nigeria, I heard that the Father's Day that just passed, there were a couple of women too that were doing Father's Day because they were single parents. They raised their children on their own. And so they thought they're going to do Father's Day. They want to be the mother and the father. So they participated both in Mother and Father's Day. I thought that was interesting. What is that about? Is there anything like that? Do you have to say, I'm a woman, but because I raised my children, I want to do Father's Day? How does that sound to you, Heidi, when you heard that?
Um, Look, it all depends on the situation, I believe. So if this kid's father actually passed away and he's no longer in their lives, or he left while early on the journey or something like that, and she's making a joke out of it, or she wants to, have fun with the kids and make something like, I'm making the event meaningful for them. Well, I'm the mama and I'm also the dad. Then this is all good. But if I am, diminishing or trying to disempower the father figure in my kids' lives, then that's a big question mark. And why do I need to do that? But it all depends on the situation, obviously. Look, it's different for every person and every situation and every country as well. Back home in Egypt, Mother's Day is Mother's Day, and then there is no Father's Day. We don't celebrate Father's Day. Father's Day does not exist in Egypt. It does not exist. What does that Father's Day mean? When I came to Australia and I found there is a Father's Day, I was going, really? Honestly? There is a Father's Day? It's only mothers we celebrate. I thought it was really strange. And then, now it's normal because to me it was like Mother's Day is the day. Like, mothers need to be celebrated. I think back home they give a lot of emphasis and amazing, like celebrating mothers. They're because of them we have this existence and all of that. Well, what about the father? Well, no, there is no Father's Day. So I don't know why, even though it's like a male dominant country, but then Father's Day is not there.
Wow. This is why I like this show, because sometimes you don't know what you get. So I didn't even know that. I must say, I don't think it was popular in Nigeria when I was growing up either.
Yeah.
So, well, when Pastor Omosebi comes on, he might be able to tell us if there were Father's Day. Truly, now that you're saying it, we do Mother's Day. How about you, Elise, in Namibia? Was there Father's Day?
When I was growing up, I think Mother's Day was more popular. But as a mature woman in Namibia, I came across Father's Day celebrations as well. It was a normal celebration like we used to celebrate the Mother's Day. But I think there is absolutely more emphasis and more effort that people put into celebrating Mother's Day. But definitely Father's Day also gets celebrated in my country. I think in terms of the practice that you are talking about now, women celebrating Father's Day, I can only say, and I speak with all due respect, I've come to know Nigerian women as women who really love to party and who love the glitz and glamour. And, we've been in lockdown all this while. So, I mean, any reason for party, bring it on.
I agree. And I cannot wait for a party, girls.
Exactly. Any reason for a party.
Yes.
That's a different angle you've taken it to. I guess you're probably right there. And that country, they always cause some sort of headache. You think this story, this outbreak is the biggest, or is like, oh my gosh, before that one goes down, another big one happens. Like, what is happening in this country called Nigeria? I'm really, you can't catch up with them. It's crazy. It's Father's Day, and the mothers want to celebrate Father's Day. What is that? But there's been an argument that because they, maybe their father was not somewhat good, and so they want to tell the kids, I am your father and I am your mother, I am everything. You wonder, because the kids turn out sometimes and they hate you and say, really, you cannot be my father. And even though their fathers might not be in their life, sometimes some kids crave for their father still. We know a lot of times the kids, there's a saying in my place actually that says, "Ma worry, go back where or mama babe." The child will know their father. It doesn't matter how you hide them, and you might say they're dead, but one day they will find their father. So you really can't be the father and the mother. I think there's a place for everybody. Just be the good mother that you are, and just stay there. So if these fathers are not good, eventually the children will know their fathers are not good anyway. You don't need to tell them. They will see themselves. If they're crooks, they will know my father is a crook. If he's a scammer, they will know I don't want to have anything to do with the irresponsible father. But you let them make that decision. When I heard it, I was laughing. I thought I'm going to share with you today. And how does that feel for a Nigerian? Some Nigerian single mothers want to be the father and the mother. It's crazy. You can't have enough of Nigeria. But we're going to go on a quick break and we're going to be right back. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Temi Ajayi, and my ladies, Heidi and Liz. Greatness. Liz, I almost want to say you are Suleiman then.
Yes.
Liz, great
Yeah.
sponsor. But truly, it's been an awesome week, and we've just spoken about Nigerian women and what they want to be. Also, ladies, I want to talk to you about my chickens. Nobody asks about my chickens anymore.
I'm waiting for the eggs. When the eggs start coming out, we start talking about them.
There's something strange that is happening to me these days. But anyway, the chicken, we had them as babies, 2 weeks old, and we didn't know what sex they were. I forgot all
Yeah.
about that. And so I had to sex them to find out. Could you believe I've been going to doctors, looking for vet doctors everywhere, and I couldn't get anyone to help me
Oh,
to vet the chickens? They told me go to another suburb and go to another suburb. I'm looking for vet doctors everywhere to help me to vet. And then somebody said to me, don't worry, when they 8 weeks, you're going to find out what they are. Now, there is a grower and there is a layer feed. So I need to buy the layer feed for the other one to lay. I don't know if they could lay eggs on their own without having the food and without having a man in their life. Do anyone know about it? What happens? Nobody knows. Now I need to separate the female from the male, because now I'm beginning to see that looks like some male part, amongst them. I don't know what to do with them. I can't kill them. I can't eat them. I'm beginning to fall in love with them. I'm like Nigerian woman falling in love with chicken. Something wrong with me? But I guess it's because I had them when they were those, remember those little babies? I think that's why I'm really falling in love with them. So I have few problems. I need to rid of the male one. I can't eat them. I can't keep them. I've got a dilemma with my chicken.
I think give it to someone else who's able to do something with them.
Exactly. I have my grandchildren's have this. So I said, these males, when they're all 2 girls and the rest are all boys, come and take, because I gave each allocated one for each of them. Come and take your chicken. So if you're watching this show, all my grandchildren needs to come and take their chickens, and whatever you do with them, I don't want to know. I don't want to know if you kill them. I don't want to know if you eat them. But all you have to do, come take your chickens, so my layers can lay eggs. I didn't know it was going to cause me this headache, but now I'm worried. I kept on feeding them grower. I need to separate them. And to get a doctor, it's been a headache. It's giving me so much headache for doctor. I don't even go see doctor myself or my chicken. Anyway, so I thought I'll share that with you. That's where I am, and I'll keep you updated with what is happening to my chicken.
Thank you.
I particularly want to know when the eggs start coming, because that's where my interest is.
Lizzie's been really concerned about the eggs, and I'm really too. I need to get rid of the boys, with my love and respect, and then I'll keep the girls so that they can give us eggs. That's where we
Yeah.
are. But they're looking good. They're really looking good. I'm beautiful. That's the only thing I want to share with you. But we need to go to today's topic, actually. Suffering. And guess who likes suffering? Heidi. Not literally, I don't think. But she likes the topic like death, like suffering, like pain. Why do you so much like something like that, Heidi?
Because I know what's behind it. There is so much that is amazing in suffering. Suffering is beautiful because of what comes out on the other end. It's magic. Suffering is a big gift in life, and what comes out on the other side is all your choice. So it's up to you to choose to be empowered. It's up to you to choose to be a different person, to be a grown-up, to be taking responsibility of your life. And suffering is the way. It's the path. You go through it.
What? Oh my gosh, I want to hear all about this suffering. And when I was having a chat about this with Liz is like, we need to get an old person and we're going to get a wise person. So I'm like, where am I going to get an old and wise person? And that's where this man that we have today comes in, old and wise.
Yeah.
On the show today, my own brother, Pastor Sola Omosebi. He's actually a pastor at a church, Mountain of Fire and Ministry, Miracle Ministry, the Melbourne branch. This is an international organization church. The past branches all over, but he's coming to talk to us shortly. Why not just bring Pastor Omosebi, and I will read a little bit about his bio to all of us in just a minute. Let's bring Pastor Omosebi on. Hello, brother. How are you, Pastor Sola? Sorry. Hello, sir. Can you hear us?
I can hear you clearly, though.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome on the show, Pastor Omosebi.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure and will always be a pleasure. Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm going to read a little bit about you. What I found out, you're currently a pastor of Mountain of Fire and Miracle Ministry Melbourne branch. You were a journalist, a businessman before relocating to Australia. And you're married with some amazing, intelligent children that I know personally. You currently run an online Christian portal, Salvation Without Chains. I like that. Salvation Without Chains. A portal for wake up for us to seek salvation over and above the mundane things of this world. Salvation is in God's hand and with his relationship. I love that. Welcome, Pastor Omosebi, once again.
Once again, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure meeting you all. You're my sister anyway. It's a pleasure meeting you here for the first time.
Liz, have you met Pastor Omosebi before?
No. It's the first time.
Nice meeting you, sir.
Nice meeting you too. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
He was a journalist, and in their time, when you are a journalist in Nigeria, you are a journalist. These people are all rounder as a top notch. But I love the name of your ministry, Salvation Without Chains. Hallelujah. Please, can you tell us a little bit about that ministry?
Our that has been ongoing for a very long time. Like I was compared to, but I'm naturally shy. I I keep my distance as much as possible as but sometimes uh, it's like the topic of today. You talk about a situation that pull you in, like a sanction. So, but what I found out about Christianity is that people are becoming worshippers of men and not of God. And then Christianity has become more of a religion rather than of faith. So, in that context, the people forget about why they are Christians and actually go for why they follow the person they follow. So, looking at it, the ultimate goal of anything or everything, no matter what you have, no matter how long you live, I don't know how long we can live in the environment that we are. You are going somewhere. If you are not going anywhere, then that's understandable. But you're going somewhere, and nobody is talking about that ultimate one. Everybody is just busy with what we can materially describe ourselves with. So, and I found out if the Christian life is anything to go by, it is the ultimate goal to be with God in the end. So, also in my sojourn and preaching and talking and chatting with people, I've always found out that I end up there. Where am I going? And that was what built it up. But it's been building along the line, and I've been running away from it. And somehow, somewhere along the line, God just said, "Look, if you don't do it, you're going to get something." So, okay. But I've been very lazy about it, though.
So you're saying that it is not natural for you to be a pastor?
See, being a pastor is who is a pastor? You want to ask yourself because who is a pastor? Most of the time, the pastor is the title.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in those days when you see a man without, in those days they have a collar which is white.
Mm-hmm.
They usually put in the necks.
Yes.
But in those days, even if you don't see them with those colors, you see that this man must be a pastor because the aura, their personality, their body language will exhibit and show that reverence. The aura of God, the spirit of God around them. But now you've got to find out who a pastor is among the folks out there. And he will tell you in the end, boasting, don't you know I'm a pastor? Oh, man, you are not one. So being a pastor has become more like a title and power sharing method. Or for whatever reason, everybody wants it. Everybody wants it. And, if we start talking about this, it will be like one is trying to be arrogant about a particular thing. And there's always a very thin line before you start becoming arrogant because it depends on what is being used to measure you.
Mm.
What is being used to measure you will determine what opinion the other person is going to have of you. I mean, it's going to be a little bit difficult if I now look at my dear sister from Namibia and tell her, no, that's not how to speak your language. Just because I was there for one holiday and I want to start speaking, I know this word, then she will look at me at the time and discover that, look, there's no point in arguing with this man. It's just dumb. So it depends on what paradigm you are being assessed with. And that matters. So being a pastor, what I believe I used to know about it is a shepherd. Being a pastor is a minister. Being a minister means you minister unto a soul. So if you go out there and you preach and you talk or you do anything and it doesn't touch anybody there, you are not ministering. You're just talking. People are sweet-tongued. People are good at speech making. They should be fundraisers. So, being a pastor, you've got to affect a life. And these days, I think the difference is that we are being run by the law, not by the Spirit of God. So things like that really weigh into what we do and what we don't do.
I know what you're talking about. 100%. I got you. I know what you're talking about. But thank you so much for taking us there. Being a pastor means you're a shepherd, and you have to affect somebody's life, and your life to minister. Even your presentation needs to minister. But depends on the yardstick that you use to measure. So I get that very well. Thank you so much, Pastor Omosebi. Appreciate you. Now, just before you came on, we were talking about suffering and is it for everyone? And Heidi was talking about is a tool for growth. I don't know what she meant by suffering is a tool for growth. Is that what I heard you say, Heidi?
Yes. So my idea about suffering, Temi, this might sound strange, but to me, from what I have been through in my life and what I see every day with my clients, I believe that people suffer for the jar. Okay, let me explain what the jar is. Okay, people suffer because of the jar: judgment, attachment, resistance. So if we have judgment to who we are, or judgment to what the universe should be like and what the world should be like, and I have judgment to the people around me, so I have judgment to myself or someone else or something else, okay? And then I have an attachment. I have an attachment to a specific outcome. It has to happen this way. If it doesn't happen this way, I'm gonna suffer. I'm going to be devastated. He can't leave me. She can't leave me. They can't do that. You know, so an attachment of some sort. And then resistance. Resistance to who am I going to be if I actually go out to the other side of this? What's going to happen if I actually go through this? What is going to happen if I finish this whole thing and I get there on the other side? Judgment, attachment, resistance are the only three reasons for any kind of suffering in the world. And the only solution for suffering is to dig deep down and dive head in and to actually go through it, and you'll get there. Because suffering is simply, to me, is the avoidance of pain. Trying to avoid pain. Because people in pain, if they are in pain, they feel pain, not suffer. Suffer is when you're trying to avoid the pain. And suffering is just allowing yourself to indulge into, you know, the attachment and the resistance and the judgment of the situation or yourself. But suffering is actually beautiful, because on the other side of suffering, there is an amazing person waiting for you to be.
I understand that. So you're saying that suffering, when it's endured, it brings out beauty. What did he say? Consistency. I get you. So the topic we're talking about, Pastor Omosebi, is that suffering is for everyone, and like I said, it sounds as if I reckon we all are meant to go through suffering. Is this true? All of us, everybody.
Well, it's a matter of we all have to go through. I think it might be a bit hard to actually bulk answer that, because joy, pleasure, wealth, growth, not all of us will go through all that. Sometimes a choice is made by each individual. But for all that want to actually get to the other end, I so much love my sister's analysis. I really enjoy that. But not everybody will be willing to go through that. The willpower to go through all that is the big thing. So for those who really want to see the other end, yes, it is for everybody. Everyone that wants to go through that. So it is, but some people will refuse. Even in the country that we have today, it's so difficult for some people, even when they want to wee and they are so pressed to stand up and go because it is cold. And that is as bad as people can be lazy. So some people will refuse, even if it is the only thing that will get them to the other side. But for anyone and everyone that really want to get themselves onto that other side that will be pleasant and pleasing,
oh dear,
they have to go through it. And in any case, what is suffering? I think that will determine what we're going through.
Miss, what is suffering?
I'm looking at suffering, as a matter of fact, according to the dictionary, that it is a physical or a mental pain that somebody goes through. And I was, when I was listening to the pastor, he was saying that it's a choice we make. If you refuse to go through it, or it's for those who choose to go through it. But if you choose not to, that equally brings suffering on your life.
Yeah. Ultimate goal.
Whether you go through it or you don't, whichever way you look at it, you suffer in one or the other way. Because the pain is physical or the pain is mental. So what you deny yourself has its own impact of suffering. What you give yourself equally has its own impact of suffering. And the option is yours. Which one do you choose? You are denying yourself or you are giving it to yourself, but you will have to suffer whichever way you look at it. So, it's as Pastor Sola said, it's a choice, but both choices come with, inevitable suffering attached to it. So the pain is there, mental or physical.
I agree with you.
For me, suffering is for everybody.
True. I kind of agree with you because someone says if you have children, you go through pain. If you don't have children, you're going through pains. If you married, you cry that, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? If you don't marry, you say so. Everybody, either mentally or physically, we're going through pain of some sort. But I look at some types of pain as suffering as innocent suffering, self-induced suffering, inherited suffering. Inherited suffering in the case of sometimes, I think the noise is coming from, sometimes it will be, in our time, in olden days, they said sometimes your great-grandparents, they must have maybe they involved themselves in some sort of diabolical activity, or sometimes they might go to even ask for children from some sort of deities, not godly, and then you have the children and the child become notorious. And so that's why we pray some generational attachment, like I just said. Anything that is ungodly, either consciously or unconsciously, we sever that relationship. So you'll be going through pain because you don't know where your great-grandparent has come from. The other one with self-induced is as a nurse, sometimes you go in the hospital, you see some people come because of addiction of some sort, and they kept on coming, and you can't be judgmental. Your values does not come to play as a nurse. You have to look after, but you feel so sad that why do you self-inflict pains on yourself and you keep pain and wasting people's times, government money and everything because of self-induced? And the other one is, the third one is the innocent one, like Job. Pastor Sola, we talk about Job's case was innocent according to the Bible. Devil was going about devouring, and God called. Have you seen my son Job? Have you tried myself? Why God? Like, why God? And so those are the sorts of sufferings that came to my mind. I said, I'm going to share that. And Pastor Omosebi, I'm sure you will have one or two to throw to either the innocent, the self-inflicted, self-induced, or the inherited sort of.
Well, you just mentioned the central one that everybody is always talking about. That is Job. Job got his problem out of celestial battle. Had no cause to be there. But somehow, somewhere along the line in a Christian life, you can't say that suffering is holy. No. You can not talk about suffering as God induced or like it has to be. It is part of you being a Christian. No, that is not the issue. Actually, it is essentially a way of God when you want to make it a Christian diversion, because the Bible will tell you in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, it says, the thought I have for you is of peace. And in the end, it says to bring you to an expected end.
Yeah.
So I studied, my degrees were in philosophy. And I know that in your first year in university in Nigeria of philosophy, the most exciting is philosophy 101. And the most exciting aspect of it is God's existence. And the justification for that is essentially, if God is good, why is there pain?
Yes.
So those are the things that people still argue up to today. But when you go deep into it, you will see the essence of suffering, self-induced. Now, if you talk about self-induced, and if you want to go biblical, will you have counted or categorized David wanting to fight a Goliath? Self-induced. Because he has a very big chance of dying in the process. Would you have considered Samson self-induced? Situations like that. But I know, like you talk about the nurses, the medical staff, and the carers talk about those who are on substance use. And they kept on creating problems. I work in the system too. At that moment, that is not the person.
Mm-hmm.
That person that is insisting on doing that thing is actually not the person. It's funny when you talk to people and tell them there's a spirit that is behind this, and they tell you there's nothing like spirit. Now, when you look deep into what they call alcohol, the Englishman gives it spirit.
Yeah.
In other words, it influences you at that moment. It has dislocated. Well, you can talk about brain function and all that put together. All I know is this: it is not that person that is moving at that time. Now, normally you don't slice yourself when you're normal.
Yeah.
So yes, it can be self-induced, but the system itself allows it. I lived in Northern Territory, and at the initial stage of my working life in Australia, had cause to deal with people in drugs, crime, and then I've had cause to go to that jail to look at the place. Look, I look at their housing in the city, the jail was much better. So you don't expect that kind of person to have felt a bit reprimanded or need not to go there. They want to go back there. They don't even call it jail there. They call it the big house. Big house. Now, when you look at those perspectives, is it self-inflicted? The system endures and allows that situation. So in that self-inducement, it is normal in the system. Look, where we come from, if you ever have cause to get to the police station, you don't want to go back there again.
You don't want to go back there.
So you wouldn't want to go to jail. We will not do those things anymore. there are some situations here that you are diagnosed into the problem you are actually having. You are medicated into it. And then you take it, this is your system, you just continue like that. Whereas there are non-pharmacological way you can handle it. The system itself allows it. A couple of years back, I think about 3 or 4 years, where we had people in the West here who would stop car on the road and rob people and do that. They didn't do much to them. They told them they are underage. If an underage does something that is of an adult, give him an adult punishment. So we have situations like that that makes me think that self-induced, yes, it could happen. But generational, you are the scientists. You know, you talk about gene. Why will my daughter look like me in the face and not look like me from the inside? So it is possible that they take one after the other. But the society determines what you are. We call children tabula rasa, empty. It is the society that imprints on them. In this, when I came into this environment, the environment we came from was from Nigeria to Asia, South Korea, and back and here. When I came into this environment, I found out that an average child that goes to school from kindergarten is taught his rights. But nobody teaches that child the responsibilities. So now that child grows like that. And if there's a problem between me and my child at the police station, I'm always wrong, even before I say anything. What growth do you want there? Now, when you see people using substance, ask them how they get them. They tell you it's everywhere. That is the system. So suffering, but I think the problem is we have to demarcate suffering from pain.
Mm-hmm.
Self-inflicted pain can be there. Like it has just been said, suffering is for everyone. Everyone will have to go through it. Like my language, they will tell you that it is the hard food that a lazy man will eat in the end.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work now to make himself his meal, he will eat the leftovers and everything that everybody condemns. So when you have pain, pain can be self-induced. Pain can be towards peace. Every peace is through war. Most of the time. So I don't know. It's debatable. I am from MFM. The essence of service is deliverance and prayers. So I will tell you, yes, we are going to destroy that power. We fall down and die there. We fall. We kill that one there. We open that one there. But deep down, our suffering, most of the time, shouldn't have been. God never meant us to suffer. God never planned it for us to suffer. But the situation will arise. Jesus said, in this world, you shall see tribulations. But he gave a condition. I have overcome. That is not to say that, sorry if I'm trying to go too much of faith, but that is not to say that everything will be easy. The concept of people telling us that once you're a Christian, everything is free is wrong. What happened to Jesus himself?
Yeah.
What happened to Peter? Judas was right there. You can make everybody is liable to mistakes. Even out of the multitude of people that followed Jesus, he picked only 12, and yet he made a mistake with Judas. So if that could happen, it could happen to you, it could happen to me. And in any case, those who are so diligently committed, go and check it out. What happened to each of the disciples? Some were fried like chicken. And that is the situation, the suffering for what? So what is the difference between the pain? Look, I heard you talking about the weather. I find it difficult waking up in the morning, but I still have to. But everything can turn out to be suffering depending on what angle you see it.
Yeah, true. I think that's what I do was alluding to that.
Yeah.
You know, separate suffering from pain. And oh, I beg your pardon. Is it okay? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. To separate suffering from pain, and at least was like we all have to go through pain. But I thought maybe some people are not going through suffering. Do you reckon? I believe that there are some people. Is it because they don't know they're suffering, or is it because they don't give it suffering? But I don't think everybody will go through suffering. It was Heidi that was saying it. What do you? Everybody did. Would they? Maybe there are some people that wouldn't know it's suffering. They don't call it the word suffering. They don't. They don't know. Or is it because their pain threshold is high? What do you reckon?
Okay, I'll tell you my take on that. I believe that anyone, every single person in this whole wide world will go through some sort of pain. There is physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain. There's so many different kinds of pain, all right? The minute we start avoiding the pain, that is suffering. So even a little headache, if I have a little headache and I don't want to sit in the headache and I'm trying to avoid the headache, in that period of time, I'm suffering the avoidance. I'm suffering that I don't want to accept that I have a headache. I don't want to accept that I've been betrayed by a friend. I don't want to accept that, I'm not good enough for something. If the minute we start avoiding the pain of accepting whatever it is, that is suffering. But if we actually accept whatever it is and be in peace at whatever it is, I know I'm not good enough as a cook. I don't cook well, and I'm okay with that. I used to suffer from that because I used to be shamed. Like I used to have so much shame around, well, I'm not cooking very well, but then I used to suffer from that. And then when I was married, I used to think that I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough as a cook because my cooking is not good enough and my husband doesn't like it. And I don't compare to his family, his sisters and mother and all of that. And I used to suffer from that. But the suffering ended when I accepted that, you know what, I'm actually not good enough. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to resist the fact that I'm not good enough like them. And I'm not going to call myself any names. I'm just not good enough as a cook like them. And that was the end of my suffering. Every time we go through pain, but we try to resist it, that is converted to suffering. As soon as we accept and be in peace with it, that's not suffering anymore.
To embrace it and be peace. I want to hear Mrs. Point of view, but we go on a short break. I'll be right back. This topic is heavy. Today we're talking about suffering, and is it for everyone? I'm getting the point that suffering is for everyone and we should embrace it and we should see it on it. And we've talked about different types of supposedly suffering. That it could be self-induced, it could be innocent. You're just in your house, whatever, and suffering just came to visit you. Because I remember I was talking with Liz the other day, and Liz was talking about being born, and in your hand you're coming with suffering or something. I could not get my head around it. I was laughing. So if you're just visiting us for the first time, we say welcome. If you're returning, we say thank you for coming. And also like us, share us, and subscribe. So now let's listen to Liz. Liz, please tell us. You said we're coming to birth. Coming with suffering.
Yeah, well, there's that analogy of a child, when they are born, there's this, I don't know if it's one or both hands, but they are like this. And then eventually as they start crying and all that, it opens up. And that is an indication that, you come with what you need in order to make it here on earth. And definitely, your portion of suffering is also in there.
Mhm.
So what you come to endure is definitely, what you came with. And obviously there is the self-induced part, there is the generational part and so on. But there is also a quote that says, your life is a result of the choices and the decisions that you have made.
Yeah.
As much as there is a portion that you come with, there are choices and decisions that you have taken that equally also contributes to where you are today. So in terms of suffering really being for everybody, I think we have dissected the word in today's world. There's so many meanings that has been attached to the word suffering, and I'm just going to mention a few of those. And looking at those, we kind of take the value of the word away from what suffering actually is, because some words, gives it a minor intensity in terms of pain, while the others are really putting it quite heavily. And that, from a human perspective, we kind of think we don't suffer, but it is actually suffering. Somebody who's going through hardship is actually suffering. Somebody may call it, I feel a bit of discomfort, but that is suffering, misfortune. We call it an ordeal. An ordeal has befallen me. It's just a beautiful way of putting it, but it is some sort of a suffering, torture, and torment. These are words that we use in order to not necessarily say I'm suffering, but you kind of making it sound a little bit different, a little bit acceptable. Mm-hmm. But I should say I agree with what Heidi says. The only antidote for all these words that I have mentioned now is accepting what you're going through, because that even if you go to a therapist will help you dissect what you are going through. What's the ordeal that has befallen you, and it's going to be broken down in a few smaller pieces that your therapist will help you to capture one piece at a time until eventually you get you overcome everything. So it is that acceptance and that voluntary wanting to overcome, that's your only antidote. But in the absence of that, it's not going to go away. You will have to suffer as long as you're not facing it head on and going through it in order to get to the other side. So taking responsibility is the main word for me.
Unbelievable. I get taking responsibility, and also I get the category of pain, like you said. But one of the greatest pain that I think we're not even mentioning or we don't know is lack of understanding. I think that to be ignorant. You'll be going through pain and you don't even know it's suffering, you don't even know it's pain because you lack knowledge, because you lack understanding. I think that's another big pain that eventually it will come to surface. You might not know it now. For example, maybe you're in a toxic relationship and maybe you numb it with something else, and you ignore it, you don't know it's suffering. Eventually, at the end of your day, you will see that this will come to forth. This will come. You don't know. So in everything I say, seek knowledge, seek understanding. And I say, like Heidi was talking before, and I was going to ask Heidi about, you thinking you don't know how to cook and you were it's pain for you, you were suffering through the shame that you went through, but you overcame that. But let's give people an idea of how to overcome. I think for me, knowledge. Always be open to learn. Be teachable. Every platform, every opportunity you have is a place to learn. I'll tell you, for example, yesterday the Testra guys, they were doing plant around my house up past cross. This guy owned the Testra outlet, but he went and started doing the front of the office that belongs to the council. It wasn't even his property, his place. He bought the shop, but that place in the community is council. But he got his staff, he got some other organizations to come help and make the place beautiful. Where I come from, if a sport, if a space, if a space belongs to the council, it belongs to the council. We don't go and say, can I help council? Nobody help council. If something belongs to the government, if it's the government responsibility, we say it's government responsibility. Where I come from, we don't go and help government a lot of times. But because I was at that venue yesterday, I inquire what is happening. I mean, they told me, and I knew that as an individual, you can actually ring the council and give them the format of what you want to do and how you want to help them. This is understanding, but we don't know our street. Your street could be filthy and dirty and got weed, and snake comes into the houses sometimes. You know that snakes, because of the weed, because council hasn't got to it. But we didn't know because we lack that knowledge, and people are suffering with finding snakes under their bed. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think for me, the antidote of this suffering that we're talking is knowledge. And you have to seek that knowledge. Very, very important. I think I've spoken about my course when I did Division 2 nursing once on this platform. I finished Division 2. I went to South Australia University to do my Division 1. I was there for almost 2 years. I came back to Victoria to come and finish my Division 1, which is supposed to be 3-year degree. They told me I have to start all over again because then South Australian credential is not valid here. I cried like, God, how come my time is always suffering? How come I always go through this? I was crying. In fact, I've never seen that before. It was really bad because as a Division 2 older, you only have to do 2 years to do Division 1 at the time. Well, you only need 2 years after. But I finished the Division 2, and then I spent 2 years at South Australia University, and I'm supposed to do like 1 year or even, and then they send me back to do 3 years. I'm talking about how many years ago. Now I forgot that pain because somebody came and spoke to me and said, Temi, you will forget you ever go through this when you start making money, when you become a nurse, when this, and it's true. That pain is gone now because of I seek knowledge. So I'm gonna let us just run this up, to just give an idea. What is suffering to you? How do you define the suffering? Somebody is in an abusive relationship, he doesn't even know he's suffering. But your husband just yell at you, like, oh, you yell at me, this is suffering, I'm going to die. It depends on how much you can take and what information you have at the time. If somebody yell at you, maybe you should yell your own back and say, enough, stop, rather than say, now I'm depressed because somebody yelled at you. I'm not trivializing yelling. I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying knowledge for me, I think, is key to this suffering because, as you all said, we all have to go through suffering. We are all suffering as a people. We are all suffering isolation, suffering COVID, our loved ones, our blood, we're all suffering. So what do we do to manage this suffering? Leave it open to us to round up very quickly. So, you got an antidote, final one to round it up. I'm mindful of the time.
Well, as I said, really, it is in accepting that which has befallen you. It is in accepting that you have to take responsibility to go through what you need to go through, and graciously come out on the other side. There is something about taking that responsibility, and we do suffer as grown-ups, but I particularly want to speak to parents to raise their children in a way that they should be able to make choices starting from childhood, so that they know that their choices have got consequences. I like what the pastor said, with regards to rights and responsibilities. I really just want to encourage our parents to build that into your pattern of how you raise your children, so that that they make the choices and they accept the responsibility of the choice, because therein is the acceptance of the suffering that comes with the choice that you have made. And as grown-ups, let's accept, let's take that volunteer that responsibility to go through what we are going through, so that we are refined, so that we are purified, so that we are strengthened, and come out on the other side as what we wanted to be, or what the suffering is giving unto us, and accept that with grace and move on with life.
Accept responsibility and face the consequence and stand firm. Pastor Omosebi, we're just going to thank you so much. It's been an awesome time. As we do usually, we go back and listen to ourselves, digest everything that you've been giving to us. But we'll let you give us some of the antidotes to suffering, since we are all going to suffer. So
I would just say that, like Heidi said, Liz said, and you said, one thing I want us to understand is this: we need wisdom. Knowledge is a collection of information. Applying knowledge is about wisdom. Most people are knowledgeable, but they are not wise. Once you are knowledgeable and not wise, you have missed it. That is one thing. And suffering is relative. Like, I like the fun that Heidi put into it, when you don't even know whether you are going to be able to cook well. But the thing about it is this: my wife was away from me, and I had all the 4 kids with me. When I cook, I tell them you must eat it, otherwise no cooking next time. It must be good. Don't tell me it's not. Anyway, along the line, I got better. But one thing is this: there is always fun in suffering, depending on how you look at it. It is relative. When you have to satisfy others, when you have to look through the eyes of others, then you are going to continually suffer. And the standard of others is never your standard. You can only be a good copy of anyone. You are a unique copy of yourself. Nobody can copy you. You cannot copy anyone. So it is a uniquely built person that is talking. You are the original. Every other thing is out of it. So, but the ability of a man to be able to drive well is his ability to incorporate bad drivers. That is also in life. The ability to live well in life is to be able to put into bad people. A good person is not the one that reacts good to a good person, but a good person is the one that is able to react to the bad person in a good way.
Come on.
One way or the other, you've got to understand that it is not about what you know, how you react to it is what matters. Everything that comes to anyone is a history in the next day. No matter what you say about it, every worry will do you nothing. So the essence of it is that, well, they sometimes think I'm not serious in my house because I poke fun at everything, because they're there. Every food that we've been eating that is sweet to us, now they tell me I can't eat them anymore. And they are good food. Now I think it is suffering when they tell me I can't eat, because I've been eating these things a long time. Before I married, I met a woman who was a UK trained, a medical doctor, and I'm in Jesha. I need to eat pounded yam. And I was just talking about it. I didn't mean it. And she said, look, that means you want me to suffer. This one can't even cook. It wouldn't do me anything, but the fact is she saw cooking pounded yam as suffering. She didn't see it as a way of learning. It depends on perspective. A cup can be halfway. You see it as either half full or half empty. God bless us.
Wow. I like that. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I in fact, sometimes I wish I don't know how to cook. Now I don't want to cook anymore. No more cooking. I'm counting it as maybe I can cook, but I think now it's suffering. 3 hours cooking. Pastor Omosebi, I understand what that girl said. Of suffering, and I need praise. Hey, Liz, let's round it up.
It should be Heidi, isn't it?
I beg your pardon, Miss Soliman.
Yes, okay. Well, I believe that as soon as we feel that we are actually suffering, you need to think about which part of the jar am I experiencing? Am I in judgment? Am I in resistance? Or am I in attachment of some sort? And if I want to go through it as fast as I can, as best as I can, come out, stronger, empowered, then drop that, whatever it is that you're feeling. Drop that and just go through it. There is growing pain. There is growing pain in everything that we actually do. When you want to, like when you look at a baby, when they grow, they experience some pain. And if that baby is avoided, if they put their feet in a special shoes, like the back in the old traditions in Chinese cultures, they put the feet of the babies in like really strong things, so that they don't grow. Well, if you want to avoid the pain, you'll come out demented. You'll come out deformed. Pain is important. Pain is essential. And on the other side of pain, there's amazing, beautiful you. So welcome to the new you as soon as you feel that pain.
I agree with you, because that's what I had when I lost my loved one, because of the thank you, ladies, and Pastor Omosebi, for doing justice to a rather interesting topic. Thank you so much. That's for you, ladies, and Pastor. So the attachment that I felt with these people, and the resistance that I resist that I'll let them go, or the judgment, all those things affect, and it did. But now this is a better and a new me. But I want to encourage us with the book of James 1:2 that says, consider it joy when you go through pains and trials of many kinds. Consider it joy. I think that is very, very sweet, and that's something to hold on to. It's painful, but consider, because even Jesus Christ endured the cross. It says, consider it joy when you face trials, tribulations, or persecution of many, because it says at the end of the day, it's going to test your faith, and it's going to produce perseverance, and it's going to produce strength. It's true, because you can stand up and say, I've been there and I've done that, to the glory of God. So that is just my little nugget. I think we're all right. We've all done justice. This is an inevitable part of life. Welcome to the and welcome to the new you. I love this so much, and I think it's something that is very important, because a lot of times we resist. We don't want, why me, how me. We resist so much, and I'm preaching this, and I think we're going to do this again to the youth, like you said, to the younger ones, because they don't want to go through trials. They don't want to go through any pains. And then when you tell them, they said, Mom, because you went through that doesn't mean I should go through that. I'm like, welcome to the world. Because everywhere you go, institution, there's problem. You get a job, there's problem. You might say you don't want to get a job, you want to start your company. Welcome to the world, because you're going to have staff. They're going to test your faith. They're going to press your button. There's nowhere in this world that you're going to go that you're not going to face pain. Not even in church. And I say that to shock you. You're going to get pain. You're going to feel pained. You're going to feel your suffering, because maybe you want to sing in the choir, and then they say your time is not right. You're going to be angry and say, why me? So it's always the case. But I thank you so much, because you've done justice to this. There's always a tool, understanding and knowledge. Find it wherever you can find it. And I pray that at the end of the day, we'll become as pure and as white as snow, and strong and steady, after we've been through all this suffering with joy. We're going to say goodbye now, and then we're going to see you later, this time next week. Pastor Omosebi,
for having me.
You were a journalist indeed, and the girls now, they know that when we bring journalists, a pastor journalist, double whammy. That's what you get.
Thank you for having me.
Pastor,
I feel that you need more time to actually talk about this, because it
That's
goes
right.
to every aspect of your life. You might do it in a serial, but you need more time.
I believe so. I believe so, because we need to tackle it, like I said, especially with the younger one, even the older ones that think we don't want to, we resist it, we don't want pain, we don't want suffering. That's why we're in this earth is full of pain and agony. And but anyway, we're going to do another part of this. And Pastor Omosebi, promise you are coming, sir.
By His grace. By His grace.
That's good.
We
Thank you
appreciate
for having me, and I'm so grateful.
Bye.
Goodbye.
We believe that you've been blessed, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for now.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.